In many editing operations, you are prompted for a base point. A base point is a location that functions as a convenient handle around which editing operations occur. For example, if you move an object, you're prompted to specify a base point. Your cursor is then attached to this point, and the object you are copying maintains its relative distance to your cursor regardless of where you move it. If you rotate an object, the base point you specify determines the point about which the object spins. If you scale an object, the object scales inward or outward from the base point. Many editing operations require you to provide a base point, which serves to determine the final position or shape of the edited objects. Learning how to locate base points correctly lets you place one object at the center of another, mirror geometry to create a symmetrical part, or, for example, stretch a wall to change the location of a door. You can ensure precise locations by specifying the exact coordinates of a location. Rectangular or Cartesian coordinates specify a location using distances along an x and y axis relative to the origin or 0, 0 point. All coordinate points that you place in a drawing are related to the origin. In two-dimensional drafting, you can enter points using 4 different coordinate methods. Absolute rectangular coordinates define a location using distances along 2 axes in relation to the origin. You enter absolute rectangular coordinates by typing the x and y distances separated by a comma. Relative rectangular coordinates define a location in relation to the previous location. You enter relative rectangular coordinates by typing an @ sign, followed by the x and y distances from the previous location, separated by a comma. Absolute polar coordinates define a location by specifying its distance and angle from the origin. By default, the angle sweeps counterclockwise from 0 degrees at 3 o'clock. You enter polar coordinates by typing a distance, a less than sign, and an angle. Relative polar coordinates define a location by specifying its distance from the previous location. You enter relative polar coordinates by typing an @ sign, a distance, a less than sign, and an angle. Setting an initial point with absolute rectangular coordinates and continuing with relative polar coordinates is often an efficient method of drawing wall lines and other architectural components. When you create new drawings, you can easily reuse existing components from other drawings. Design Center makes it easy to find and transfer symbols, dimension styles, text styles, layers, and other components from one drawing into another. The drawings from which this data is copied can be located on your local hard disk, an Office file server, an FTP site, or a web page. With Design Center, you can select any drawing to see a list of its components and then drag these components into the current drawing. You can also open any folder to see a list of drawing files. You can drag an entire drawing file into the current drawing. You can load drawings from websites and FTP sites into the Design Center palette using the integrated web browser, and then drag components from these files into your current drawing. Design Center serves as a central source for design data and facilitates collaboration between design professionals. Using Design Center to access drawing content from several sources dramatically reduces the time you spend creating drawings and ensures consistency across all drawings. Dimensioning is the process of adding measurement annotation to a drawing. These values are extracted directly from the objects in the drawing to ensure complete accuracy and to reduce error. You can create dimensions directly on a drawing layout. The dimension automatically adjusts for the scale of the view. There are many ways to dimension objects and many ways to format dimensions. You can create dimensions for a wide variety of object types in many different orientations. Baseline dimensions create a series of dimensions measured from the same dimension origin. Continued dimensions create a series of dimensions placed end to end. You can modify the placement of dimensions using editing commands, or you can use grips. By default, dimensions are associative, which means that dimension values update automatically in response to changes in the drawing. You can create dimension styles to format dimensions quickly and ensure that dimensions in your drawing conform to industry or project standards. In most CAD applications, you draw objects at full scale. This means that if a line in the real world measures 10 inches or 10 meters, you draw a line that is 10 inches or 10 meters long. It is only when you lay out a drawing in preparation for plotting that you set the scale for various views of the model to fit on the drawing sheet or layout. To set the drawing scale, you first create a representation of your layout. Then, you define special areas on your layout to display views of your model. Finally, you set the scale for each view of your model. Always remember that you draw objects at full scale.